Give me them vibes. Today I'm going to show you how to produce melodic house. Thanks to everyone who took part in the community poll the other day, as these in the style of videos are some of the most popular on my channel. We're going to go into everything from sourcing the vocal and ripping a stem, to beautiful synth design, amazing chord progression and melody, mixing, arrangement, and a whole host more besides. I'm just going to be using the stock plugins in Ableton Live, but you can follow along in literally any DAW. And as usual, you can download this project with all the samples and presets completely free. I want to say a huge shout out to our Accelerator students who specialize in melodic house, like Jason, who's just had his first release and it sounds great, Gustav, who's hit over 1 million streams, Mölly, who's signed to Colorize, and Zoya, who's had releases on Anjuna Deep, Black Hole, and many more. And without further ado, let's hop into the door and get it done. Okay, the first thing we want to do is get a nice vocal. I'm actually going to rip a stem from this track that was really big a few months ago or a year ago, whenever it was. So I brought it into DJ Studio, which I find is best for exporting stems, and it's this tune. I'm not going to play much of it, so I don't get flagged for copyright. Now I'm just going to right click, splitting a cappella and instrumental. Just going to do that. It's also going to warp it correctly, so then I can do something really cool, which is just bring it straight into Ableton. I don't need to worry about warping it correctly. So I'm going to go to my library. Here we go. And I'm going to right click on this and go stems for Ableton. And I'm just going to grab the vocal because that's all I want. And let's have it in wave, doesn't really matter. And beat grid AI. Download a zip, and then I'm going to drag that into our Ableton project. Okay, so I've opened up a new Ableton project. I'm setting the tempo 123 so we get that melodic house vibe, and I'm just going to create an audio channel like that, and I'm going to bring in the vocals from that espresso track, and it should all be warped now because I exported it from DJ Studio. So we can see it's got all the warp markers, lovely. We got it set to Complex Pro, which is the best for vocals because you can change the tempo without it sounding too bad. And then let's have a listen. Let's just hope that it doesn't get flagged for copyright. In fact, I'm going to raise the whole thing by 3 semitones. So we're going to be writing in a slightly different key. So let's have a listen with the metronome. That's in sync, perfect. Right, we need to save this bad boy. Melodic house, but we're using a vocal from Sabrina Carpenter, which means we are going to call this House by Carpentry. Oh my God. No, don't worry about it. Forget it. This never happened. Cool, that'd be a good name for a record label. Next thing we want to do is look at the magic list, get a kick in there, and I'm going to use audio for this. It doesn't matter if you use audio or MIDI, but I'm going to go to my favorite kicks packs, and I'm going to pick quite a nice deep melodic kick, this one. And there's something special about this kick because we've actually got a slight pre-transient, and that just means that we've got this slight reverse sound beforehand. But the trouble is that means it's not going to work directly on the beat. So have a look at what I'm going to do. I'm just going to line this up so the pre-transient happens just before the beat like this. So now that's the beat. So it's going to go like whoop. You won't really hear it. It's really subtle, but just trust your captain. Okay. Now I'm just going to copy that to every beat, making sure that the pre-transient happens in the same place before each beat. And then I'm going to set this kick to hit at -12 so we don't run into any clipping on the master channel. So let's put a utility on there. You could do it on the on the channel fader, but I'm going to do it on the utility. There are reasons for that, but I won't go into them now. It doesn't really matter. And now let's have a listen. Boom. Okay, next thing we need to do is find some chords for this. Now, I could look up the key of the original track, but because I've changed the pitch of her vocals, I'm just going to jam something out on this keyboard. I've got this really cool, let me see, I can show it to you because I can take it apart. I've got this really cool rolly keyboard here that all lights up and everything. Very important for music production. Things looking good, hence. But this studio is not finished yet, so that's why it doesn't look good. Okay, now let's get a standard house. Now let's just get like a normal grand piano in there first. And that's because I don't want to get distracted by the sound. I just want to work out the chords, although a piano works really well for melodic house anyway. Remember, we're going for that Colorize and Anjuna Deep type vibe. So I'm going to work out the key of the track now, the new key. So that sounds like the root note, which is a C. And now I need to work out whether it's a major or a minor. Now I'm going to show you how to do that actually. So you work out what note sounds as though it's the root of the track, where it wants to resolve to naturally. And then the next step is finding out, as I said, whether it's a minor or major key. And the way to do that is just play the second note in the scale. Or the third note, sorry. So this would be a major, and this would be a minor. And you can see it's hitting that black note, because C major just hits all the white notes, and C minor has a couple of black notes in there as well. So most dance music's in a minor key. See, that sounds out of tune. So that sounds in tune. So that tells me this is in C minor now that we've transposed it. So I'm just going to jam out some chords. Easiest thing to do is work out the bass notes if you don't know any music theory. And if you do want to learn music theory, you can check out my music theory for EDM producers course. But let's just work out some simple bass notes that's going to work with this progression. Oh, this is going to be good. So I'm going to hit scale mode. We've got C major, so let's select C minor. And you can see, if we hit scale, it's only going to show the notes from within this key, which makes working really easy because we can't really hit a wrong note. That sounds pretty cool. Doesn't have to be complex. And then we'll go back up again. So they are going to be our main notes. I'm going to take them down an octave or two. So we've got a bass notes here. And let's go on to a different part of this song, because I don't really think the chorus is that great for this genre. I can't relate to desperation. My giver flux are on vacation. And I got this one boy, and he won't stop calling. Like, the melody's nice, it works. I don't know why I chose this track. It's because it's got a breathy female vocal, and that's the kind of style I'm going for, even though it's got random lyrics for this style. But now let's build out the chords, because the actual melody of her voice sounds really good with those bass notes. So all I need to do is build up the skip a note each time in scale mode like this, et voila. And that's going to be your standard triads. Let's do it there for all of these notes. But what I'm going to do is add a seventh note above as well. So if the first note of each chord is the root, or the first position, then you've got the second, the third, the fourth and the fifth. So a standard triad is the first, the third, the fifth. And I'm going to whack a cheeky little seventh on there as well, which is just the seventh scale position above the root note of the chord. I can't really... Let's just add those sevenths for extra heart melter. And that's going to be a diminished seventh. Oh, I don't know. I can't relate to desperation. Neither can I, Sabrina. So are mine. Right, no, let's move that one up, I think. And I'm going to do a chord inversion, which means I'm just going to put some of these notes up an octave to bring them all closer together. I can't relate. Like here, if we have another note there, that's going to be a ninth, and that's going to sound good as well. I can't relate to desperation. My gift are on vacation. See that? When you get a weird sounding diminished note like that, just move it up or down one position in the scale. I can't relate to desperation. My gift. Maybe it should be there. That's the one. So let's just duplicate that. So there are basic chords. Well, they're not basic, but they're the ones we're going to base the track around. And don't worry, we're going to make it sound awesome by creating the actual bass sound, which is really going to be a big part of what gives it this melodic house feel. So we want a warm, sustained, analog sounding bass, but I'm just using the stock plugins, remember, so I'm going to do it with Wavetable. Thanks for everyone who commented about using Serum. I got more votes for Serum than Vital, so I'll use Wavetable today because you can do what I'm doing in Wavetable here in Serum as well. It's easy to translate from one system to another. So let's grab the bass notes from this progression, like so. And I'm just going to paste them here. And then what I'm going to do is get a saw wave like so.
I can't relate to desperate.
And what we're going to do is just take down the high frequencies with the filter. And then create a slight attack at the beginning, just to soften it slightly. Let's take it down an octave actually. And then what we want to do is create this kind of brassy swell going wow. And the way we're going to do that is have a second envelope, just create the shape that you want for that swell, like wow, think of it like doing that. And then we're going to assign it to the filter cutoff point, like this. Just like that. So you've already got that lovely, rich bass sound. I'm going to add a subline on there as well. Okay, bass is pretty much done. What we're going to do though is add a sidechain compressor that's going to duck that bass in time with the kick, so it pushes it out the way every time the kick plays. So I've got this sidechain trigger track I have set up. There's a tongue twister for you. And it's just a really short, sharp tick. And someone asked this on our Accelerator group pool yesterday. But the reason I've got a really short, sharp tick is because if you have a kick drum that's ducking the compressor, even if you've got the attack and release set really fast on that compressor, it's still going to compress it for the entire length of that kick. And if you use a really short transient sound, you can control the length of that ducking effect, SC comp, so that's sidechain comp, just with the attack and release. So let's have a listen. So we're just having it duck slightly. Okay, cool. Boom, next thing we can do is create the synth. And this is really going to start bringing that melodic house feeling to the forefront. Let's just call this vocal. Color it the color of the inside of Sabrina's throat, which is, as most people, purple. It's not actually, this is probably more right, but she's been drinking a lot of espresso. It's had terrible effects on her innards. I don't know why she does it really. Should have a word with her. And what we're going to do is create a synth riff that's going to dance along and create this syncopated vibe. Now with melodic house, a lot of times you've got a riff that will kind of dance around on the same notes whilst the bass progression changes underneath it, which is my favorite type of riff. So let's just, again, we're going to use Wavetable again, and let's just get the notes in first. We can make it sound good afterwards. So I'm just going to kind of play along. Like, you can use the scale mode if it makes it easier for you. So you don't need to play with the keyboard, but this one's so pretty, I just have to, you know. But let's just set our grid to 16ths and create this motif that repeats. And we'll start with notes from within the key, of course. That's nice. I should probably listen to the vocal whilst I do this. But that sounds nice. Like, I think that's going to sound good. Let's have a listen.
I can't relate. I can't relate. I can't relate.
Cool. So now we can just repeat that riff and listen to what happens as the bass notes change underneath. We'll put the chords on as well.
I can't relate to desperate.
That's really nice straight away. Ah, so let's make this synth a bit more interesting. I mean, it sounds nice just as a simple sine wave, really. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to experiment with some different shapes. Ah. And then with these envelope settings, again, same in Serum, same in Vital, you can assign this to different parameters in your synth. So I'm just going to use the matrix. And what I'm going to do is assign one of the envelopes to this warp position, like that, and just shape how I want that pluck to happen. It's almost like a banjo from a native synth. And we can experiment with other things. I like that. Let's just take out some of the high frequencies and then assign that. Yeah, you instantly get something that sounds pretty cool, and let's just shape it. Add some release. You get this lovely textured sound. Add some unison maybe. And now we've got some stereo width. And now what I'm going to do is put a delay on there to create some really interesting rhythm. Ping pong mode, so it dances left and right. Like, already that sounds awesome. And let's choose a different filter type so we can add some drive. Give it a bit more character. The last thing I'm going to do is select a different LFO, because melodic house has so much movement in there all the time. Things are being automated all the time, LFOs are running all the time, and it keeps it from sounding stale or boring. So I'm going to assign one of these LFOs to, let's do it to the warp. It's going to be mild. And now I'm just going to slow that down, that LFO. Stop it from re-triggering with every hit. So it's going to be more of a cycle. Ooh, that is sick. I love it. Let's put another oscillator on there. That is beautiful. Right, we're hitting a bit of peaking here, some clipping, so let's turn the volume of the whole thing down. Always being aware of the gain staging. And let's add some reverb to the delay. And then let's EQ out the low ends. OMG. Oh, let's bring in those chords. Instant yes! Let's add some full reverb to the piano. Increase the decay. Oh, that's so nice. Okay, I'm not going to get carried away yet. Next thing we need to do is work on the drums and shakers. I've got some really cool things to show you here before we bring it all together towards the end. Let's colour this blue, the natural colour of pianos. I'd love a blue piano. That'd be awesome. If anyone wants to get me a blue piano, feel free. My address is 1 Tune Avenue, absolute Bangersville. God. All right, now to work on the drums, I'm going to use the new Melodic House EDM Tips sample pack. There's a little something for you. So I'm just going to call this drums, and what I'm going to do is take a clap from that. So let's go. I don't actually know where they are because it's brand new. I've literally just finished it. So let's go into drums. I'm going to add some more to it actually. Nice claps. I want something short like that. For this kind of genre, just something really short and snappy, doesn't have to be really big. And sample selection is so important, guys. You just gotta spend the time getting the right sounds. Buy a great sample pack that has the right sounds. And then it's way easier than trying to butcher the wrong sounds and get it all to work together.
I can't relate to desperation. Might give a fuck or on vacation. I can't relate.
I want to warm that bass up, add some drive. Nice. Okay, for that drum, just going to add a little bit of room reverb. And what I like to do is use the drum rack in Ableton, open up the routing, open up all of this gubbins, and then right click and create return chain, and then choose my global room reverb. And all it is just a short reverb, a normal reverb, but with a short decay of under half a second. So I've got about 400 milliseconds there. And that's just going to add some kind of presence to this drum. So let's have a listen. Turn this off now, it's there. Listen to that. Off, on. And now we need a bunch of shakers. This is really important. So I'm going to use Splice to get these, although we have got shakers in the sample pack, but I want to show you how to use a few different tools today. So I'm going to go for 3 shakers because, again, in this genre of music, layering sounds helps add to that richness and depth that we already spoke about. Automation's one thing, careful layering is another thing. But I'm going to pick the wrong sounds deliberately here, and I'm going to show you why in a second. So I put shaker in. You can sync it using Splice Bridge if you want, but I'm listening out for the texture more than anything. So there's a nice shaker loop. I'll have you, son, get in there. Let's have a listen. Yeah, that's working. I'll turn off all the other sounds so we can just focus on the drums. But it doesn't sound as rich as like Nora En Pure or Ben Böhmer and all of those guys. So we want to layer our drums, so we're adding more frequencies in there. That one's a bit clackety clackety, but let's bring this one in there, like you. That's cool. I mean, there's a lot going on, but let's have a listen now. As long as they're quiet, it should be okay. So this is the first one on its own. Let's bring in the second one and listen to the difference it makes. Off, on, and the third one. So it's much more interesting. You could even pan one left and one right. But I like them kind of balanced in the middle. But this is what I wanted to show you. There's a lot of high frequencies here. So what I'm going to do is use a very cool technique that I learned from Calvin Harris actually many years ago. And I'm going to use a bit crusher to add more low frequencies and actually take out some of those high frequencies. So this is going to add some real depth to our drums. Like, it already sounds nice and deep, but check this out. I want to say it's going to blow your mind. So that's what I'm going to say. This is going to blow your mind. Let's go for Redux, which is the sound of the name of the bit crusher in Ableton. Check this out. I could reduce the bits rate as well. Then we can feed in, like, that's without it, and that's with it. Like, listen how much more depth there is. And we can see if we look at the frequencies as well. Let's see what's going on. So this is off. Oh yeah, that's nice, lots of high end. Ah, but now we've got some stuff going on in the low end. We'll take out the really low frequencies, they just mess up our mix. And that's awesome. So what I'm going to do is use the same sidechain compressor now to just add some rhythm to these shakers even more. So check it out if we have some sidechain ducking. Just a little bit, just to add a little bit of bounce and groove. Okay, next thing on our magic list is the main riff. This is going to be sweet because this is really going to give it a real vibe. This is going to be our main riff that people are going to sing along to, other than Sabrina Carpenter bits. So this is a classic sound. We can add some room reverb to the shakers too. Off. Oh, stop it. Stop vibing, Will. Okay. Now for this main synth, again, I'm going to do it from scratch. You can download all of these presets. I'm going to use Wavetable again. And I'm going to go for something that my former student, Mölly, uses. I'm going to go for that vibe because I think her music is awesome and it's a great example of this type of music. She's signed to Colorize, so I'll link to her tracks as well below. So we'll start off with a saw wave, like so. Bring it down. And let's just get the shape right first. So, too plucky little chum. Some release so they kind of bleed into each other. Like, it's pretty simple. I think I probably got it wrong, but it sounds nice. The important bit here is adding the reverb and the delays. So check this out. That's the same reverb that we use for the piano. It might be a little bit long actually. So I'm going to create a specific reverb for that. Let's call it riff reverb. I'm going to call this riff instead of synth. And I'm going to color this a slightly lighter color of the same thing, slightly lighter hue. So I can see it's relating just to that one sound. And then I'm going to create a specific reverb for that sound. So let's just bring it on there. 100% wet because it's on an auxiliary channel. We don't want the dry signal being doubled up. Feed some out. And now I want to create 2 echoes or delays for this. So let's call this riff del. But I'm also going to have one on the channel. I could have 2 auxiliary channels, but for speed, I'll do it on the channel itself. So let's go to riff. Let's put reverb on there. Come on, Will, you haven't got long. Let's make this useful. So let's just have a ping pong. So I'm going to tweak it slightly and do it manually. Again, just to add a little bit of variation from being completely on the grid. But for the second echo, which is the main one, I am going to keep this one on the grid. Let's go do dotted quarter notes. And let's feed some of that riff out to that delay. And I want it to be ping pong as well. Now let's play along with everything else turned on. Oh, I could just jam to that. That's really nice. So let's put a little riff in there. still got so much more to show you today to really kind of polish this up, so stick around for it. I'm also trying to go for 500,000 subscribers on YouTube this year, so I don't want you to buy anything from me, you don't need to do anything. All I'm going to ask is that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it, only takes a second. Thank you. Let's get it right. Again, I'm just using the scale. Let's just copy that. If you've seen any of my melody videos, like the one popping up now, you'll remember the importance of repetition of pitch and rhythm when it comes to melody. So let's just, it's all going to come together in a few minutes. Let's get this riff working. Don't want to overcomplicate it. Varying at the second time run through. Oh, this is going to be... This is going to be so nice. I could have just been doing this on 8s the whole time, I think. It might be a bit complex at the end there, but I'm liking it, so we're going to stick with that. Let's just copy the paste, and the second bass time it runs through, I think I'll just hold that last note. So now we've got this, and I'm going to add some extra reverb to the vocals and filter out some of the low end. Make it a bit breathy. Take out some of that low energy. So it's really breathy. And now again, that's the piano reverb. I think it's a bit long, so I could use a specific vocal reverb, but I'm just going to use the same one I did for the riff because I think it's about the right length.
I can't relate to desperation. Might give a fuck. Are on vacation, and I got this one boy.
And let's take up the low end.
Stop calling when they act this way. I know I gotta go. I can't relate to desperation. Might give a fuck. Are on vacation, and I got this one boy, and he won't stop calling when they act this way. I know I gotta go. I can't relate to desperation. Might give a fuck. Are on vacation.
Oh, so I think that these vocals can't play at the same time as the main riff, so it's one or the other, because they're going to clash with each other. But that's fine. You know, we can just have one play and then the other play. Oh, now I'm getting excited. So now we need to, it still sounds a bit empty. It sounded good and I like it, but I want to add some more depth to this. And the way I'm going to do that is add kind of like a pad, but oh, this is going to be amazing actually. It's going to be a pad, but with rhythm. Let's call it Rhythmic Pad. Let's see. I'm going to color it cyan, the natural color of synths in the wild, like so. Let me know if you're enjoying this so far. Give me a hell yeah, or an amen brother if you're feeling holy. Now, I haven't recorded much in this studio, so I've got to get comfortable. I've got to get myself comfortable to express myself fully. So, what I'm going to do is use the chords that we've created with the piano, like so, but just with a saw pad at the moment, a saw wave. And I'm going to tone it down a little bit We don't need all of the notes in there, so let's take out a couple of them. That could work there. So I'm just simplifying those chords because we don't need all of the notes to create the effect that we want. And actually, having fewer notes played by some of the instruments will just allow more space in our mix. So let's like get the shape right, pretty much a stab, sustained. Choosing a more interesting sound. Because the bass is already doing those bass notes, which is why we don't need to double up that sound. And now what we're going to do is add some movement to this. Firstly, I'm going to add some movement using LFO. Remember what I said about movement earlier? Really important to add some movement, and that just keeps the interest alive. Doesn't have to be extreme. Just enough. Add some unison. Instantly, yes. And now what we want to do is just shape the envelope slightly so it opens up that filter as it hits. Now you've got that kind of Medusa sound. But this is the fun bit that I haven't shown before. What we want to do is get the second LFO. I'm going to keep it on retrigger. I'm going to set it to be synced with the track, not just an arbitrary hertz amount. So it's going to be synced to quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, etc. I'm going to choose sawtooth. I'm going to offset it so we start with the beginning of the sawtooth like this. And then I'm going to assign that also to that filter cutoff point and listen to what happens. Just gently. Let's add some reverb to this, the big reverb, I think. And now we can decide how much we want to pump in to the filter of that sound. So you can automate those amounts. Let's put it into the other reverb actually. Now, with everything in there, let's take down that.
I can't relate to desperation. Might give a fuck. Are on vacation, and I got this one boy, and he won't stop calling. When I act this way, I know I gotta go. I can't relate to desperation. Might give a fuck. Are on vacation, and I got this one boy, and he won't stop calling.
And that's going to allow just movement going through the whole track. But we've still got more to do with these vocals. Okay, I'm going to create a vocal sound bed. Again, really important for melodic house. And it just ties everything into the track. So let's find a little bit where she's like just making a little vocal noise. Nah, nah.
Now
Now, that could work. Let's have a listen, see if there's anything a bit better.
Oh, holy shit. Is it that sweet? I guess so. Now he's,
Yeah, and now he's...
now he's, now he's,
That's cool.
now he's.
We could use that.
Dogs are on vacation, and I got this one boy, and he wants
Let's go to another.
I'm working late, cause I'm a singer. Oh, he looks so cute, wrapped around my... I'm working late, cause I'm a singer. Oh, he looks so cute, wrapped around my finger. My twisted humor, like a lesson often. My honeybee, come get this ball. I'm working late.
Okay, we need to still add some reverb to this synth as well. We've added some echo, but check this out.
I'm working late, cause I'm a singer. Oh, he looks so cute.
Okay, this is what I wanted to show you with the vocal. So I just get carried away, that's the trouble.
So glad you asked me. Come wrapped around my finger. Thinking about now he's thinking about me. It's all
Give me a sec.
I twisted. I'm brand new for you. Now he's thinking about.
Yeah, we'll take that now he's, but check it out. If I put that on a new track, like so, duplicate it, consolidate it, so then I can reverse it. You can just watch that again if you didn't get what I did. And now you got this weird loop.
Now he.
Let's like blend them in so we don't have that click sound, which sounds weird, right? In fact, so weird, I might choose a different one, but time is of the essence. No, that's all right. I'll show you what you can do. Let's just duplicate that. So it just repeats over and over and over. It's going to sound weird. But let's just stick a reverb straight on there on the channel and completely wash it out. Okay, let's take out some of the frequencies. And now you've got a vocal sound bed that ties everything back to that vocal. So you can start your track like this. And we can add a sidechain compressor there. Just add some rhythm to that vocal. Just a little bit. Why not add an auto pan? Again, more movement. Start the track like this, just hold one note, even, like so. In fact, let's do some arrangement. Yeah, that'll be good, rather than messing everything up that I've already made. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna start the track like that. So let's get old Sabby out the way. Go on, jog on, love. We'll get back to you later. And let's just copy that vocal pad, vocal atmosphere over to the beginning. Copy everything else over to the beginning as well, like so. You probably wouldn't start with the kick drum playing. I'm just going to try and do this as I go. Right. Let's duplicate that. Now we're going to bring in some of that synth riff that would come in here, the low pass filter, like so. so. And it's going to build up over time. It's hard to do it all like at the same time unless you've got knobs assigned to different parameters. Just like doing it as I go. That's nice, mate. See all this different. And we're bringing the bass and the drums and everything else. I'm not saying this is perfect. I'm literally arranging it as I go. Now let's bring that riff in. I've made a remix. I did a remix. Okay, I'm going to do some more work on this and it's going to be playing in the background at the end. And whilst it's playing, let's go through and I want to see if you got those 5 secrets that I mentioned at the beginning and took notes. I hope you did. The first is having a warm, sustained bass. You can see we did it here. Well, it's playing in the background so you can hear it. And that's just to give that really nice, warm, analog feel to the track. And then we can juxtapose that with part 2, or secret number 2, which is rhythmic syncopated synths. If you remember that first repeating synth motif we had, that short, sharp, staccato 16th rhythm kind of complemented the smooth, warm bass. And having that contrast counts for a lot. Okay, number 3, very carefully layered drums. So you don't need to have a really complex track in terms of the different elements playing with each other, but if you layer up, say, 3 different shakers all playing on the 16th and then process them with something like a bit crusher, you create a really nice, rich, deep, just 16th rhythm, but with a lot of nuance in there. Number 4, dynamics and automation. So you remember all of that sidechain ducking I was doing, all the use of LFOs, all the use of automation as well. That's how you keep a track flowing and ebbing in this style without it getting boring, and you tell a story with your music. And number 5, something that helps with the last point is creating atmospheric sound beds, and you do that with things like vocal chops that you can just repeat with a lot of reverb, or just long reverb on some of the synth elements, and it all blends together and creates this lovely, beautiful sound bed over which everything else operates. So I really hope you've enjoyed this. If you want some coaching, you can check out the Music Production Accelerator, which has helped literally hundreds of people get signed to some of the world's biggest labels. We can help you too. You can check out the details below, see if we've got any space at the moment. And don't forget, you can download this project file. All the samples completely free. If you enjoyed this, please do give it a like, share it with your friends, and I will catch you over at this next video where we dig way more depth into melodic house techniques. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers, and I'll catch you over there.